Assalamu alaikum, this is Dr. Mona El-Idrisi, author of the Muslim Narcissist book and empowerment coach for Muslims. I'd like to welcome everyone who is new to this channel. I pray that you find your closure, answers, and plenty of education, inshallah, so that this channel can be a stepping stone towards your healing journey when it comes to dealing with yourself as a person, whether you be narcissistic or codependent, and also if you are dealing or have dealt with problematic narcissistic people in the past. So inshallah, this channel has been created for you to be able to make sense of everything and finally understand how to deal with people's disorders or your own disorder. So it's been a while since I've recorded a podcast. Again, like I said in my previous one, everyone is just highly disturbed about this situation in Palestine right now. And it's been very difficult to focus and record. But alhamdulillah, I've managed to find a day in which I can sit down and record this one for you. So today's podcast will be about what happens when two narcissists come together in a marriage setting. Okay, so many people have asked me this as a follow-up question from a previous podcast about the back burner supply and the narcissist news supply. So I will break that down into further detail today so that you can understand what happens when a narcissistic Muslim man marries a narcissistic Muslim woman. So before I start, I'd like to kindly ask you to like, share and subscribe to this channel. Please do share the podcast with anyone whom you feel could really benefit from this content. Let's get the word out there. Let's help people, deal with these issues and heal from their traumas, inshallah, so that they can finally move on and let go of the grip that they have on a narcissist and being unable to move on from abuse. So it is important to understand, I've mentioned this a few times, that there's a difference between narcissists. So you have the overt type and the covert type. So the overt type is the wolf in wolf's clothing, and the covert type is the wolf in sheep's clothing. So I will start with the overt type so that you can understand the difference between the two and what happens when they marry their own kind. Okay, so it is important to understand that narcissists are destined to be with their own kind, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in Surah An-Nur, Al-Khabithatu lil-Khabithin wal-Khabithuna lil-Khabithat, which translates as vile women are for vile men and vile men are for vile women. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He puts them together. He puts them back together eventually because they are destined to be with their own kind. Now, if you're new to this channel and you're asking, well, how come I ended up with a narcissist? I am considered to be an empath. I'm a nice, decent, practicing Muslim. Why did I end up with a narcissist as a partner, as a husband or a wife? Why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow for me to marry someone vile when I'm a good person? The answer is in podcast number 53. So if you haven't listened to podcast 53 yet, please do pause this one and go back to listen to that one first. Because if you don't listen to that one first, you're not really going to make sense of this one. And you may assume that you are the narcissist in your current relationship or in your previous relationship. So when I record podcasts, I try my best to record them in a sequence so that everything makes sense and ties together. So if you're new to this channel, I really do advise that you start from the beginning and you go through everything so that by the time you get to this podcast, you'll be able to make sense of your situation entirely. Okay? So yeah, please do go back to that podcast and listen to that one first. So the overt narcissist are of two types. The first type are those who were brought up in privileged backgrounds. When I say privileged backgrounds, I mean they were born into a lot of money, so they grew up with luxuries, or they may have come from royal family, or their families might be very highly educated, so they're known at universities as professors, or their family members might be muftis and sheikhs, or they have a lot of political influence. So, for example, someone's father might be a prime minister or the mayor of London. They will have political significance. Or they may come from a family where there are famous people like celebrities, movie actors and singers and so on. So whatever it is, it's going to be something of very high significance that makes those people who are born into these families that include these people, it makes them feel very important. And with importance comes entitlement. So when someone is growing up in an environment that is highly wealthy, or they're surrounded by famous people or sheikhs, they have a sense of entitlement that I deserve the best of this world. Their fathers may invest in their companies and business ideas, and for that reason they become successful very quickly because they get a lot of funding behind them. These are people who go to the best universities because they have the funding behind them. These are people who have power and authority in societies because they come from royal families or because they come from political families. So there will be a sense of great entitlement, and with this entitlement and sense of importance, they will have a grandiose personality, because they feel that everyone owes them respect, everyone owes them loyalty, because they expect everyone to be looking up to them. They feel and know that they have what the majority of people do not have. They have advantages and privileges that many other children and many other people do not have and were not raised with. So because they see themselves as the minority, they don't feel like they have to work for other people's respect. They do not feel that they need to work hard to gain the love of people. So you'll find that these people are highly confident, and they are often surrounded by many people who want to be in their presence, because being in the presence of these types of narcissists gives them importance as well. So for example, if you look at how people act around celebrities, you know, how they're dying to take, selfies with them, and they're like screaming and they're passing out and, being carried away on stretchers in concerts because they can't believe that they are seeing their famous singer perform on stage. People give these celebrities and people who are considered to be important a much higher status than they are owed, because they have what these average people don't have. These people have fame. These people have money. These people have a lineage, right? These people have political power. And so it is these people who enable the narcissism in overt narcissists, okay? It's their fans and their followers and all of these people. I mean, I saw a video the other day on Instagram of women, Muslim women, in a mosque, and some very well-known da'i comes into the mosque, right? He passes the women's section and they can all see him from the window, and they're all screaming. They can't believe that this preacher has just walked into the mosque, and, like they're about to pass out as well. And it made me cringe so badly, because who is this guy? He's just a normal human being. He's not a prophet. He's no one exceptional, no one famous, no one amazing. Just someone a lot of these young women find attractive, and they hail him for being a brother on the deen who is pretty much a TikTok da'i, right? We have plenty of them now. And it's become a trend, unfortunately. It's become a trend to gain fame on these platforms by being a TikTok preacher or a TikTok sheikh. Another podcast for another time, inshallah. But it's people who give average people platforms in which they can grow their narcissism, right? So their narcissism will grow and grow and grow until it takes over them, and they act like they are people who are entitled to everything, that everything they want in this world they have to have because they are wealthy, or because they are beautiful, or because, whatever it is. So you get some people as well, like for example the Kardashians. They believe the world owes them everything. They are so grandiose in their narcissism because they believe they're all very beautiful. They come from a very beautiful family. All the sisters are beautiful, the mother is beautiful. And so that alone can be a reason for people to become overt narcissists when they're older. Okay, so the first type are those who were born into a certain situation that gives them an advantage over others. And they may be very average people, okay? Just because you're born wealthy or born into a family of muftis or you are born as a royal, it doesn't mean that you yourself are an amazing, wonderful, pious person. That doesn't make you an amazing person. It just gives you an advantage. So we are still talking about people who are average because they haven't built anything for themselves, because they don't feel like they need to. They feel like what they have, what they're born into, is more than enough to get them what they want in life. So you'll find many people who are royalty or they're very wealthy and they have nothing special about them. They're not intelligent. They make ridiculous life choices. I mean, look at Prince Harry right now. He is a laughingstock of the world because of his life choices and what he's become. It doesn't, just because you're a prince or just because you are born into a certain type of family doesn't mean that you will be able to carry the advantage that you've been born with very well. Okay, not everyone's going to use money very well, and not everyone is going to use their political knowledge very well or their Islamic knowledge very well. Yes, you have it, but it doesn't mean that your mission in life has been connected to that, right? Again, look at Prince Harry. He was destined to be a prince, but he's not behaving like one. And you may destined to come into a lot of money, but you blow it on haram things and you misuse it when you could have done so much good with it. So it's not always a blessing when you're born into privilege. It can be a huge test for you as well. And unfortunately, like I said, overt narcissists will always misuse their blessings. And overt narcissists are those who don't care if people see them as narcissists. They're not hiding their narcissists like covert narcissists. Covert narcissists don't want people to know that they're narcissists. But overt narcissists, they don't care. That's why they're so vain. That's why they're so grandiose. That's why they're so arrogant, openly arrogant. They don't care what people think about them because they believe that everything that they want from people and the respect and the loyalty that they want is owed to them without any hard work being invested into anyone. And again, it's because of their fan base. It's because of how people make them feel. People put them on a pedestal because they're celebrities and because they're people of power and because they're highly good looking. Some people just want to be around highly good looking people. You know, again, if you go on like one of these marriage dating apps and you will see loads of people on, in their profile pictures taking photos next to celebrities like, hey, look at me. Look who I've come across in my life. I'm someone important. I've got a picture next to Cristiano Ronaldo, or next to Mufti Menk. It's something that gives them importance to be photographed next to, these influential people. So it's very important for me to differentiate between the two types of narcissists so that you will further understand what happens when they get together with the people of their own kind. Okay, so bear with me. Now, the second type of overt narcissist is the person who was not born into privilege, but they gained it later. Okay, so for example, someone might have been born into a poor family. There was no money, no education, nothing. And later in life, that person who was born into that family came into a lot of money. Or they grew up to be very beautiful. Or they grew up to be very smart, very, very smart. And they got into a great university and they became a worldwide known surgeon, for example. Or they became a movie actor later in life. So a lot of people start off like that. They're born into a family that holds no significance socially, and then later on in life they become a somebody. And when they become a somebody, all of a sudden they become overt narcissists. So they become very grandiose, very confident. They believe that they deserve the best in life. I mean, and an example that comes to mind would be Andrew Tate, right? He's one of those guys who started off with nothing and he became a somebody, and he is now well known for being grandiose and overt in his narcissism. This can happen to a lot of people who suddenly come into a lot of money And even if it's not sudden, even if they worked hard for it, when they get to a place where they want to be, or they realize that actually I'm very beautiful, I could be an actress, I could be a singer, I could be a model, it's like lights just suddenly turn on and they become a different person because they realize that I can actually take advantage of this and get everything that I want in life from it. That's why beautiful narcissistic women get everywhere in life and they get what they want in life. They get good men only to destroy them. They get good jobs. They get highly paid jobs. And they're also given privileges because they're very beautiful. And if you are an actor, if you're a famous actor, then you have more choices in life, right? You can now choose to live in luxury. You can mingle with other people who are famous and so on and so forth. So those are the two different types, that the ones who are born into privilege and those who came into privilege later in life. Now, the only difference between them is that the one who came into privilege later in life, so the one who came into a lot of money later or came into a lot of fame later, they are insecure. So unlike the person who came into privilege, these types of overt narcissists are very insecure deep down inside. Why are they insecure? Because they have a deep-rooted fear of losing what they have because they were not born into it. So when, for example, when someone who was born into a wealthy family loses their money, they know they can fall back on their family, right? Then they don't necessarily have to live a poor life or a downgrade. They don't have to downgrade because they know that they can go back to mum and dad or go back to their tribe and they can get money. They'll be looked after. However, someone who was not born into money or born into, a famous family or a political family or a royal family, if they were to marry a royal later down the line, they have a deep-rooted insecurity of being divorced. Because if they are divorced from that royal, they are no longer significant. Okay, what makes them significant then is being married to a royal. Or what makes them significant is being young and beautiful. No one's going to be young and beautiful forever, right? So they have a fear of losing what they have. They have a fear of losing their fame. They have a fear of losing their money. So you'll find them obsessed about having more of it. So they work so hard to avoid the fear of losing it. And that's why when someone suddenly comes into money, they just work 10 times harder to have more and more of it. That's why when women are validated and they're given huge platforms for being very beautiful and good looking, like Kim Kardashian and her sisters, and if you look at how much they've transformed with surgeries over time, you'll understand what I'm saying. They're so desperately holding on to what's making them famous. What's made them famous is how they look. So they're obsessively holding on to their youth, holding on to their good looks, because they know that if those good looks were to disappear, they now become a nobody again. And, it's the same with other people who marry celebrities. So, someone could become, important very suddenly because they've married a celebrity. I mean, look at this guy who's with Britney Spears, for example. He was a nobody. He was a personal trainer. And now he's famous because he's with Britney Spears. So if she was to leave him, he'll go back to being a nobody. It's just how it works. So overt narcissists, they have this deep insecurity because they don't want to lose what they have. And they're terrified of going back to being poor, the way that they were raised when they were younger. They're terrified of going back to a life that they are running away from. Whereas the overt narcissist who was born into it doesn't have those fears. And that's why they are the most confident people when it comes to dealing with narcissists. And they're actually not difficult to deal with because they're so clear in their intentions. They're so clear in who they are as people. You have a choice of whether you associate with them or not. So an example could be, Trump. Look at Trump. Trump is one of those people who was born into privilege, and he's overtly narcissistic unapologetically. So he doesn't care if he comes across as very arrogant. He doesn't care what people think of him because deep down he has this security within himself, right? He's a multi-billionaire. He doesn't care. He doesn't care about losing anything. he's not operating from fear when he deals with other people, whereas those who are not born into privilege do. They have a deep insecurity. That's why you find a lot of these, like men, for example, who come into a lot of money. They're very tight with their money. They have a lot of it. They come into a sudden inheritance, or they've got lucky in the stock market or something, and they find it very difficult to be generous with other people because they're so scared that this money is going to disappear. Even if it's a small amount of money that you ask from them, can I borrow $100, or, can you pay for this or can you pay for that? And they're uncomfortable with it because they've never had it. So they want to hold on to every single penny. That's why I tell women all the time, just because a man is wealthy does not mean he's generous. It doesn't. So many of these wealthy guys are so stingy because they don't come from privilege. They don't come from backgrounds in which this is the norm, right? So if you go to like Al-Khalij, Saudi, Qatar, Oman, Kuwait, you will find that people there are very generous because they've been born into money. When you're born into money, you're naturally very generous. When you're not born into money, you become very miserly and tight with your money and with other people. So that's the difference between the two. Now, these two types of people will go for the same type of woman or the same type of man. They will never settle for women or men who are considered to be weak. Okay? They always go for their own kind. And when I say their own kind, I mean people who are famous, people who are influencers, people who are very stunningly beautiful, movie actors, actresses, people from, prominent families, royalty. They tend to go for, people from their own backgrounds. And if they weren't born into that, they will look for that because it's almost like a statement. I've made it. Now that I'm rich, I can marry a royal. Now that I'm rich, I can do this and I can do that. Now that I'm beautiful, I can get a royal husband or a husband who has a lot of influence, or I can marry a mufti, or, they start to use what they've gained in life to attract someone who is considered to be out of their league. So overt narcissists will always marry the trophy. And that's why you get celebrities who marry each other. When you look at celebrity relationships, you'll find that, a male actor will want the most beautiful woman out there. He wants to show her off. They like to show off. They love to brag about what they have. Unlike the covert narcissists they will marry out of their league, but they will crush that man or crush that woman. I'll come on to that, inshallah, in the second part of this podcast. But the overt narcissists, they don't like the overly submissive. They don't like the weak, codependent man or woman. They like confidence. They want someone who is highly confident. And that's why the overt narcissist isn't really attracted to a codependent who doesn't have any self-esteem, or a low-level narcissist who has low self-esteem. They like to go for women who are very confident, men who are very confident. Again, I just want you to picture Andrew Tate and look at the type of women he surrounds himself with. They're not weak and they're not meek. They are all highly confident, beautiful, outgoing women who ooze a lot of confidence, okay? Because for them, it's like an achievement to get a woman like that. To have a woman who cooks at home and looks after him at home, all of that, because people don't see it. People don't see what's behind closed doors. It's not important. They want and they value what other people can see. And what other people can see is a stunning wife, a rich husband, I've married the mayor of London. I have married this person. I'm married the son of the prime minister. Or I've married the son of a king. All of that is what people can see, and that's all that matters. They don't care if their wife cooks and cleans. They don't care about all of these things that happen behind closed doors. As long as people are looking at them in awe, that's all they care about. It's an achievement. It's a trophy on their shelf. So overt narcissists will always go for people who are similar to each other, or women or men whom they feel that they can now have because they have attained a certain level of success in life, whether that be financially or socially. Now, when it comes to Muslims, this can be slightly different. You can find an overt Muslim man who will marry a codependent woman because of the concept that we have in Islam that men should have ghira, right? That men should have this protection over their wives. So, for example, if he was a preacher, let's say he's a famous imam or a famous preacher, he's young, he's good looking, he travels the world speaking about the deen, whatever. This man is not going to want a very beautiful woman who he can show off to the world. They don't do that. They would love to do that. Believe me, if they had the choice, they would love to do that. But because of their position as people who are appearing to be practicing, they don't find the point. There's no point in them going for a woman who is highly confident because, again, most of these men are not born into privilege. They're not born into families of knowledge. They gain it later so that they could have a platform. And these men will marry codependent women and they will turn these women into maids. They will turn these women into slaves. Okay? She will be someone whom he will absolutely cripple. If he's overt narc, he will cripple her self-esteem. He will cripple everything good about her, including her iman, because he believes he's entitled to everything. He will act like a god because he believes he's got this importance to the world. He's got a massive fan base, a huge following. So when his wife says something that he doesn't like, or she has an issue with him, or she raises a complaint, or there's whatever it could be, he has an attitude of, how dare you? Do you not know who I am? Do you not know how famous I am? Do you not know that there are thousands of women out there who would be begging to marry me? You best shut up and do what I say. That's the overt Muslim narcissist man. That's how he will treat his wife. Because he's practicing, because he is someone who has to portray to the world that he is a decent Muslim man who has ghira over his women, he's not going to choose the trophy wife. And again, that comes down from his own insecurity, because insecure men do not like to marry women who have more than what they have, even if it's looks. The overt practicing Muslim man will always marry a woman who is not better than him in certain areas of life. So usually these overt practicing Muslim men as well, who are preachers and teachers and professors, they don't like to marry educated women, believe it or not, because they don't want to be challenged. If he's a preacher or a da'i and he goes on, TikTok and, YouTube, and his wife is a highly educated woman and she tells him, what you quoted was not right, the interpretation of that was not right, it will irritate him. He wants a woman who is not intelligent. He wants to maintain a high level of power over a woman so that she will feel lucky to have him all the time. Okay? That is what these guys do. Because if you're better than them, you make them look stupid. That's how they feel. They don't see you as an asset. They will see you as a hindrance to their power. So that's what happens when it comes to practicing overt Muslims. And, I'll give an example for women as well, because this isn't just about Muslim men. Overt narcissistic Muslim women who are practicing, again, they may be women in full hijab and everything, and because they see themselves as so beautiful, they will use that as leverage over their husbands. So, for example, she's a hijabi influencer. Okay, so she's an overt narcissist. She's so self-obsessed all over her Instagram page, all over TikTok. It's so nauseating to look at these accounts, but these are the accounts that I'm talking about, right? The women who are in full hijab and they're constantly posting selfies, constantly posting what their bodies look like, constantly posting about what they have. When these women get married, they will use their self-perceived beauty as leverage. So she will always say to her husband, well, there are thousands of men out there who would want me. thousands of men out there who see my Instagram page and they want me. I can get married tomorrow if I wanted to. If you don't fix up, I can get married next week. This is what they say to their husbands. Now, the men who marry the highly beautiful women are either codependent men or overt narcissists. Okay, because they're the only ones who have the confidence to marry highly beautiful women. The covert narcissist is someone who doesn't usually do that. That's why you find that the covert narcissist, the main wife, so let's say he's married to more than one wife, the main wife will be average. She will not be a highly stunning woman because, again, they're not secure enough to have a woman like that. They will ruin the self-esteem and confidence of that woman. Even if they marry a beautiful woman, within just a short matter of time, she will lose all of that confidence. Okay? So that's what happens in that situation. Now, when you marry someone who is a liberal, overt narcissist Muslim, then they act the same way as non-Muslims. Okay, so, you get liberal Muslim men, they're overt narcs, they are highly arrogant, and they will marry a woman who doesn't cover, she doesn't pray, he doesn't care about her deen, but she's a trophy wife. We see a lot of that these days, where Muslim men are really showing off the beauty of their wives all over social media. These people are not practicing to me. These people are not true believers to me. They are the men whom the Prophet Muhammad classified as being a dayuthin. Okay, men who have no ghira or protection over their women. They will act like the non-Muslims do. And the same goes for women who constantly show off their husbands. Again, you see loads of accounts on Instagram of Muslim women showing off, their husbands' bodies. Why are we seeing these guys topless? That's your husband. Why are you not protecting him from the fitna of other women? Why are you not protecting him from evil eye and, just other women in general? Like, what is wrong with these Muslim women who continuously show off their husbands who are good looking, who have gym bodies, who have a lot of money, and, do all of these nice things for them? So this is not the behavior of true believers. Okay, these are the behaviors of narcissists. These are the behaviors of Muslim narcissists who are overt in their disorders. Okay, they don't care what people think about them. They do not care about their reputation because their arrogance has completely taken over them, because these people are completely controlled by their qareen. Okay, these are people who are controlled by their qareen. They have a delusional outlook on the world. They believe the world owes them everything. So they marry each other. These are people who marry each other. The overt Muslim narcissist woman will want a man who makes her look good in society, so she will always go for the wealthy guy. She will always go for the guy who makes her important in society. Even if she is important and famous already, she will go for someone who is more famous, more good looking, because they have that confidence. Now, again, if they were not born into that privilege, they will not do that. They will not marry someone who is better. They will marry someone whom will look at them as being better. But they're the same level of people. Okay, they're the same level of people. Now, the relationship between two overt narcissists is highly toxic because there's no emotional availability here. There's no second mawadda or rahma in these marriages. Okay, second is that stability, that feeling of being home, that peace. Okay, when you come home to your best friend, you come home to that loving environment. That's not there. Mawadda, that deep love, that deep intimacy. Overt narcissists really struggle to be intimate. They're very emotionally disconnected and they really struggle in their intimate lives because they cannot connect on an emotional level. These people are not spiritual. These people lack a lot of empathy. That's why they're overt narcissists. They have a lot of arrogance. They're always competing with each other. So their intimate lives are terrible. That's why they cheat all the time. Look at celebrities. Every other day, every 5 minutes, you hear, oh, this celebrity cheated on that celebrity. And you look at the celebrity that they're married to, and she's one of the most beautiful women on the planet, like Angelina Jolie, for example. She was cheated on multiple times by all her husbands. And it's because narcissists together cannot form emotional connections. They are there only for the benefits. They are there to make each other look good. They are there for supply. They each feed off the narcissistic supply of the other. And that's why these celebrity marriages always fall short. They don't last very long. You always find that, after a year they got divorced, after 2 years they got divorced. When two narcissists get together, overt narcissists, their marriages don't last. They are always fighting. They are always in a toxic environment. Again, think back to Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. Look at what happened in their marriage and everything that Amber Heard was saying about their marriage and everything that Johnny Depp was saying about their marriage. And you think, wow, all this was happening behind closed doors, but on the red carpet, they look like the happiest couple. They feed off each other's fuel. He's got the beautiful wife and she's got the successful husband, right? Pirates of the Caribbean, lucky me. I married Captain John Sparrow, she gained a lot of fame just by marrying Johnny Depp. So narcissists, overt narcissists in particular, they feed off each other's fuel socially. And that's why when they come home, there's nothing there. They've not built a foundation of an actual marriage. There is no love. That love, that mawadda is not there. The second is not there. The rahmah is not there. The rahmah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us about in the Quran when it comes to marriage is the mercy that two people have for each other, so that you don't fear being abused when you come home. That person has enough mercy on you to not put you through any abuse, whether it's emotional, spiritual, psychological, physical, whatever. When you're sick, that person has mercy on you. When you don't feel like cooking that day, that person has mercy on you. When you are upset, that person has mercy on you. When they're angry, that person has mercy on you. They don't take it out on you. So the concept of rahmah in marriage is not found in the relationships between narcissists. And that's why, I get a lot of people coming to me and they say, oh, my ex, he was an overt narc and, he went and married someone who's 10 times more beautiful than me. They look really happy and everything. And I'm like, well, did he look happy when he was with you? Yes. Well, what makes you think that she's got it better? They always look quite happy on the outside. The overt narcissist will go out of his way or out of her way to make it look like they are having the time of their life. Because the overt narcissist always has to marry better. Again, if they come from a privileged background. If they do not, then they will do whatever they can to marry someone who is out of their league. And that the only reason why that person is in their league is because they've reached a certain level of success. Okay? And one day they will lose it. I've seen so many people lose it. They've been chucked off that pedestal by another narcissist who took revenge on them. Look at what Amber Heard did to Johnny Depp. She tried to completely cripple his career. That's the revenge they take on each other when their relationship finally breaks down, when they realize that there's nothing more to take from each other. And they realize that they've both scammed each other. When they wake up to that realization that one person has married the other to scam them, because again, narcissists, they play each other's games very well. Some narcissists know how to manipulate other narcissists a lot better than they do. So sometimes a narcissist can be manipulated by a woman who is even more manipulative, even more intelligent than he is, and vice versa. So by the time that narcissist finds out that he's been scammed into a marriage because she wanted half of his wealth and half of his assets in a divorce, what he will do is he will try and ruin her career by exposing secrets about her. It gets really ugly. That's why celebrity divorces are so ugly, because it happens when one of them realizes that they've been scammed. That's why these marriages don't last very long. They realize what the other narcissist was after all along. Sometimes the narcissists know up front what they're getting into. They know that, okay, this woman wants half my money in a divorce, no problem. If I'm getting a lot out of it, if I'm getting a stepping stone into the political world by being with this woman, so be it. She can have half my wealth. Doesn't matter. So some know what they're getting into and some don't. The ones that don't are the ones who end up in the messiest divorces, like Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. Okay? So their marriages are rocky, highly toxic. They are horrible to each other behind closed doors. They are physically violent towards each other behind closed doors because there's no love. When you know deep down that you're just being used, that you're a trophy on a shelf, that you have no purpose but to give this person X supply, you will act out in a very toxic manner because you feel like you have no worth to somebody. You crave love, but you can't get it. And the only person who can satisfy what you need is another narcissist, because you can't go to a codependent who's got no confidence. What are you going to gain from that as an overt narc? You're not going to gain anything. You lose a lot. So they have to go back to their own kind. الخبيثات للخبيثين. They have to go back to their own kind to get what they need. These people can't be with empaths. An empath wouldn't last 24 hours with an overt narc. An empath sees an overt narc and they run the other way because they're too arrogant. An empath cannot handle the level of arrogance that an overt narcissist has. Whether he's a mufti, sheikh, she's a Quran teacher, she's a preacher, doesn't matter who she is. When an empath comes across someone who has a very high level of arrogance, there is no way you could marry that person. And that's why you don't find celebrities marrying empaths or codependents who are doormats. They become doormats later, by the way. Like when... Look at Will Smith, for example, okay? I'm just going to use his example because it's gone viral how his wife has turned him into a complete puppet. He never started out like that. Will Smith was a highly confident, overt narcissist man, and look what she's made him. She's destroyed him. She's destroyed him with what she's done to him because of her narcissism. She's cheated on him. She's done God knows what to him. He's not the same person as he was. He's broken. He is weak. He is not respected by people anymore. A narcissist who is more powerful than another narcissist will do that to them. They will make you codependent. They will do that to you. And they will break you. They will break your narcissism. So now Will Smith has lost that prestige. And he's lost that confidence that he once had, that charisma, that energy. This is what happens when two overt narcs come together. So if your ex has gone on to be with someone who's better looking than you, richer than you, they've got more status than you, got a better career than you, it doesn't matter. Let them. Because this is what's happening behind closed doors. They are so toxic to each other. They're using each other. There is no marriage there. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that if you have no empathy, there is no marriage. You cannot have a loving marriage if you do not have empathy. So imagine when two narcissists who have no empathy or very little empathy come together. What good could come out of that situation? None whatsoever. It's already hard, being in a relationship with a narcissist and you being an empath or a codependent with empathy. That's already toxic enough. But imagine when there are two. When there are two narcissists. They are very unhinged people. If you could see what happens behind closed doors and the way they fight and the way they hate each other and the way that they know that they're only using each other, you will understand that me being jealous of my ex moving on to someone who is narcissistic or has a lot more than I have because she's a trophy to him, you will understand that it's not a loss. It's not a loss for you, it's a loss for them. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has destined these people to be with each other. There's nothing you can do about it. It's Allah's will. It's Allah's will. Qadar Allah. الخبيثات للخبيثين والخبيثون للخبيثات. Simple. They go back to their own kind. They're not meant to belong with you. If you have an overt narc who has left you and you feel like, it's been a real big loss in your life because they gave you importance right? It felt good being with that person who had money and fame and they were an influencer and, blah, de blah. If you feel like you've lost that person, then know, always know that they were never meant to stay with you, ever. They will leave you at some point when the supply runs out. And it is something that you really have to be aware of. Because if you are with an overt narcissist who is a Muslim, know that it is a part of their plan to completely destroy your self-esteem. Especially if you come from a good family, a wealthy family, a family of muftis, if you're beautiful, if you have a good career. Marrying someone who is arrogant and overt and grandiose, you better believe within a short period of time, you will lose everything that they admired in you in the beginning. You will lose everything that made you special. You will lose everything that made you a trophy behind closed doors. But the liberal Muslim won't do that. The liberal Muslim will chip at your self-esteem, but he or she will enjoy showing you off to the world. That's the only difference. That's the difference. And a lot of women are marrying liberal men now. Men who have no deen because of the wealth, because of the career. He's a doctor, he's a surgeon, he's a top lawyer, he's a barrister, he's yada, yada, yada. A lot of women are choosing to marry men who have no deen. They do not pray. They have nothing apart from the superficial stuff that they can offer. And then they find themselves in an abusive relationship because this man has no fear of Allah, or this woman has no fear of Allah. There's no marriage, there's no second mawadda rahmah. You will not find emotional satisfaction or spiritual satisfaction in a marriage with any narcissist, covert or overt. It's not there. The love, the mawadda that you're meant to feel with someone in a marriage will never be present with a narcissist. So why are you crying over an ex who's left you? Why? Why are you beating yourself up over this person who left you for a horrible narcissistic woman or man? Why? What did you lose? You didn't lose anything. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to have second mawadda rahmah in your next relationship, in your next marriage, inshallah. He's taken that person away so you can have it. So why are there thousands of people out there who are struggling to move on from a narcissist who has given them the chance to find second mawadda rahmah? They are so emotionally unavailable that it's crippling to live with them. Even narcissists find them crippling to live with. Even narcissists can't live with each other because everyone has a human need to be loved and looked after and nurtured deep down. So always remember that that's what happens when two overt narcs get married to each other. And it's even more toxic when the overt narcissist is someone who portrays themselves to be religious because, they will pull out every stop of religious abuse on you. Boy, you better believe it because they have to maintain that power. You think that they are going to enjoy the power outside the home and come back and not have it at home as well? No. They're going to make sure they have it in the house as well. They don't care about how you feel. You can never make them feel less important than they believe they are when they are outside the house. And that's why none of your feelings matter. They don't care if you're crying. They'll turn their back and they'll continue sleeping like you're nothing, nobody. They don't care about anything. They really don't. Because the most important thing to them is that feeling of being important is maintained at all costs and everywhere. Same with their children. They have no mercy towards their children when their children rebel, when their children answer back, when their children don't do as they're told. It's these overt narcs who go insane at their children when they're not given blind obedience instantly. Like, who the hell are you to answer back to me when I have people outside, millions of people or hundreds and thousands of followers who look up to what I say? I will not accept this. So they become brutal with their children as well. Covert narcs are the same. But for the opposite reason. The covert narcissist, because he's so insecure, he demands the respect he doesn't get from anybody. That's the difference. The overt narc demands the respect that he gets from everyone, and the covert narc will demand respect from his family because he doesn't get it from people outside. He doesn't get it from his own family. His own family know who he or she really is. They don't respect them. They don't even like them. So when they come home to their wife and kids, they demand obedience. They demand respect. They don't earn it. They don't feel like they have a need to earn it. You know, they don't look at life that way, that respect is earned. They look at it as, you know, it's already enough that my own family don't like me and don't respect me. So you, by force, you're going to respect me and you're going to give me blind obedience. That's the difference between the overt and the covert. So, yes, that's what happens when two overt narcs get together. It's highly toxic. Everything about it is toxic. Their children are so messed up. All their children have problems. Look at the children of Will Smith. Look how they turned out. So many kids who are parented by two overt narcs will turn to drugs, alcohol. They will turn to homosexuality. They will become very ill. They will become suicidal very early on in life. And they develop so many different types of disorders because of what they see at home. They're not in a healthy environment. Look at all the children of those who have overt narc parents, and you'll see what I mean. They're all disturbed. They've all got problems. They've all got spiritual problems as well, and jinn possession problems. They're all tattooed from head to toe and piercings everywhere, and this is an indication that someone has a serious mental health problem. Tattoos are an indication of a serious mental health problem. It's not an art. It's not an art. It's body abuse. When you pierce your body head to toe or tattoo your body head to toe, you are showing the world that you have no respect for your body. It comes from a lack of self-love because you're poisoning your blood. People who are tattooed cannot donate blood because your blood is poisoned. It's self-harm. Your qareen makes you do that to your body that's been given to you as an amana by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it's a result of a mental health problem. A lot of women, they're like, oh, I love the guy with tattoos and oh, it's so attractive. Woman, think again. Think again. Men with tattoos have mental health problems, major ones. So, yeah, if you want to deal with your qareen and his qareen, go ahead. And you will see exactly what I mean. You will understand what I'm saying when you live with someone who is tattooed. There's a reason why it's haram in Islam. There's a reason why all of these things, subhanAllah, our deen is so beautiful. When it makes something haram, there's such wisdom behind it. So I hope that's clarified, inshallah, what happens when two overt narcs get together. And again, look at it from a Muslim perspective, okay? Because, you know, the deen does have an influence over these relationships in accordance to what Islam teaches us about, you know, men being protective and all of that. So that does come into play. But just as a general rule, the liberal Muslims will brag about everything, including their women. But the Muslims who appear to be practicing, okay, they will be grandiose in everything but their women. They will come across as being very arrogant, you know, very entitled to the best treatment from everyone because they're a TikTok sheikh or whatever, or because they're a surgeon, or because they're a lawyer, or, you know, they come from a political family or a royal family. They will be so grandiose about everything they have. They will show off everything they have, just not their woman. And that's why when you look at the princes of the Emirat, you know, you see them with their tigers and their Lamborghinis and their Ferraris and their mansions, but you never see their women. You never see their women. So the men who come across as being practicing or Muslims, they will be grandiose about everything but their women because of the cultural and Islamic aspect to that. Okay? And if we take this example as well of, you know, an Emirati prince who marries a woman, she's going to be stunningly beautiful because he comes from a background of privilege. But if he doesn't, she's going to be very average in looks. Just take that as a standard rule that is applied to these people. And overt narcissists are more likely than any other people to betray their husbands and wives because, again, lack of emotional intimacy. So because they're unable to connect with people on a deep emotional level, they perceive intimacy as an act of just physical pleasure, and that's it. And that's why they can never have enough of it. That's why the overt narcissists have to have their 4 wives. And that's why celebrities, again, get cheated on all the time, because that love isn't there. That type of love isn't there. When you really love someone, you would never do that to someone. You'd be highly content with the person whom you're with, because that intimacy is there, the emotional connection is there. You wouldn't do that to someone whom you felt that way about. But because these narcissists don't have the ability to explore a connection that deep emotionally and spiritually, they just see intimacy as a physical act. And that's why they expect people to accept their betrayal and cheating. And a lot of women who are married to overt narcissists accept it again and again and again, because they know that this is what they're like. They understand it. They understand that they cannot be emotionally connected to people, and that this is something to be expected from this type of person. So like I said, the practicing Muslim will be someone who needs other women around. So he may do it in a perceived halal way, but he will have to have his multiple wives, because he will not be able to justify it in a haram way. Okay, he cannot justify zina in this way. So, that's why a lot of women who are married to overt narcissists, they're always complaining, oh, he took a second, third wife. Well, yep, that's what they do. And if they're liberal, they will just have, countless affairs, countless mistresses. They may even go through substance abuse. So they may take drugs. They may do things to help them cope with their emotional unavailability. People who struggle with their emotions and expressing their emotions and building connections with people emotionally turn to substance abuse. That's why, again, a lot of celebrities, they are alcoholics, they are drug users, they have died from overdoses and suicide, because emotionally they are so empty. They are so empty. And a lot of people, they question, why is it that, these celebrities have everything that they could want? They have all the money, all the luxuries, everything. Why is it that they're alcoholics? Why are they drug users? Why are they committing suicide at a young age? Why are they so ill? It's because of that. It's because their soul is not being nourished with an emotional connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and their hearts are also not being nourished by having deep emotional connections to other people. So they bottle in all of their emotions until it gets too much for them, and they turn to alcohol, they turn to drugs, they turn to sex. That's why so many celebrities are sex addicts as well, because they don't know how else to channel their need for emotional connection. They don't know how to deal with their emotions. They weren't told how to deal with emotions when they were younger, because all that mattered when they were younger was that they were born into a rich family, or that they had to make a lot of money, they had to be famous, they had to be a somebody. So the empathy and the importance of expressing yourself emotionally and developing connections with people emotionally was, it was neglected. It was ignored by their parents. And that's why I tell a lot of people, when I give parenting advice, I'm not a parent myself, but it's just logic that when you raise a child, the most important tool that they will need in life is to understand how to process all of their emotions, the difficult, the good and the bad. They need to understand that to process their emotions, they need a connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if they don't have that connection, they will turn to so many wrong things to make themselves feel better. Okay, so that's the overt narc. Now the covert narc is different. The covert narc, again, because they operate from a deep insecurity, and even if they were born into privilege, their lack of emotional nurturing makes them dangerous narcissists when they're older. So if you go back to previous podcasts, I speak about, how, like, for example, the narcissistic man, covert man, would not have been nurtured by his mother, not been loved enough by his mother and taken care of by a woman emotionally growing up, which is why he's, grown up with this lack of understanding of how to deal with his emotions, and that's why they are always at the emotional level of children as adults. And dealing with a covert narcissist is like dealing with a 5-year-old child when in conflict. And it goes back to that. It goes back to them not having a loving parent to teach them about their emotions and emotional connections as a child. So they had to figure it out on their own, and their qareen got the better of them when they were teenagers. So the qareen will take advantage of them being so emotionally closed and so difficult that they end up in a cycle of being so emotionally unavailable with everyone that they meet until it gets worse and worse and worse. And they can no longer have any kind of functioning relationship with anybody. That's why a relationship with a covert narc never works out. Never ever works out. It's never a happy relationship. I have never met a covert narcissist in all my life, man or woman, who is happy. They are all as miserable as they can be. Even though they have the house, the wife, the husband, the children, they've got a good career, they've got money, they're not happy. Because when you are not in touch with your emotions, when you don't know how to express yourself, when you do not know how to build meaningful connections, you feel like your life is pointless. They want to feel love, they want to be normal, but a lot of them don't even know how to start working on themselves. So when you are living with someone who doesn't love themselves, believe me, they can never love you. Never expect love from someone who doesn't love themselves, and never expect honesty from people who lie to themselves. Never. You'll never get it. So, as opposed to the overt narcissists who will actively look for another overt narcissist as new supply, they don't go back to old supplies, by the way, the overt narcissists. The overt narcissists, once they have had another overt narc who has played them, or they realise that they're no good, they don't go back to old exes. The overt narc will always go for better. They always look for the new supply. The covert narcissist, however, has back burner supplies. The back burner supplies are people who have supply that they didn't need at that time. Okay, so for example, if a narcissist wasn't in need of money at a particular time, but they came across another narcissist or a codependent who had money, they're like, I'm going to park this one for a while until I need money, until I need an ego boost, until I need sex, until I need a house to live in. That's why they keep back burner supplies. Every back burner supply will have something different to offer, and that's why they park them. So whenever they need a place to stay, if they find themselves homeless or jobless, they know exactly which back burner supply to hoover. All right? So the way that a covert narcissist ends up with their own kind is when they go back to a back burner supply. Because covert narcissists do not actively look for other narcissists. If they end up with other narcissists, it's because that narcissist has scammed them and deceived them into believing that they are an empath. Okay, that's how narcissists play each other. So, for example, you get a narcissistic man and he's a covert narc and he's looking for new supply. Now, the covert narcissist, because he's so insecure, he knows he wouldn't last 5 minutes with another narcissist. He can't be bothered to deal with someone else's manipulation. They don't want someone who knows the same game. They want someone whom they can manipulate because they're clueless to the narcissist game. So it doesn't make sense that they go for another narcissist, right? Actively. So they will go for someone who is an empath, or at least a codependent with a high level of empathy. So when they meet another narcissist, or they come across another narcissist, the other narcissist will look at them and say, okay, this guy has money, or this woman has beauty. I need to pretend to be an empath and that I love them and that this and that for me to get into this person's life and obtain this fuel source of supply. All right? So the narcissist falls for the manipulation of the other narcissist. This is when they look for new supply. Okay? They've left you, or they've discarded you, you've left them, whatever, and now they've got no back burner supplies. I'm talking about someone with no back burners, because they always go through their back burners first before they go to new supply. A narcissist who doesn't have a back burner supply will be on the hunt for another empath or codependent. And narcissists will pick up on any fuel they can get from anyone, whether it's a narcissist or not a narcissist. So they will come across a woman who sees that this narcissist has money, and she will pretend to be the empath. And he'll fall for it until he realizes one day that she played him. She played him good and proper. And that's why so many of you will see that the new relationship that the ex has with the new supply doesn't last very long. It doesn't last long because he has realized or she has realized that they've been played with a capital D. They realize they've been played and scammed and deceived by someone from their own kind. And it puts them in a situation that forces them to come back to you. That's why they hoover you. Oh, you think that they're hoovering you for no reason? They're hoovering you because they've been played by someone else. They've realized that they've been scammed. That's why I tell all of you, don't answer the goddamn hoover. When they come crawling back after discarding you or you walking away from them, don't answer their hoover. Because they realize that they've been played by their own kind and they come back. Or they realize that what this other person was promising them was a load of lies. It was all future faking. He'll be like, damn, I got played at my own game. Where's that back burner supply? Let me go hoover them. I need them back. Because my ego is so wounded right now. I feel so humiliated that I got played at my own game. I need my ego boosted again. Where's Fatma? Where's Aisha? Let me go and hoover her up. That's what they do. Stop answering their hoovers. Wallahi, you're getting played every time you answer a hoover. You are not helping yourself to move on or to teach that narcissist a lesson when you answer their hoover. So when they realize that they have been scammed by the new supply, and that new supply has been using them for their own, benefits and gains, that relationship will turn sour very quickly. You'll see the love bombing going on because they'll love bomb each other. You see, they'll love bomb each other. She will love bomb him to get the supply that she needs from him, and he will love bomb her thinking that she's an empath. And vice versa. This happens vice versa too. They love bomb each other until that mask falls off, because it always does. It always falls off. And then he gets mad or she gets really mad. That relationship gets toxic very quickly. And when I say toxic, it could be physical, spiritual, verbal. It's usually verbal. Lots of verbal name calling, abuse. They're always calling the police on each other. The police are always outside their house. They have so much disrespect for each other. He is livid that he left someone who was codependent or empath for her. He feels stupid, and the more stupid that he feels, the angrier he gets, the more abuse she is subjected to. It just becomes a complete and utter chaotic mess. And when they get with this new supply and they give them everything that you wanted from them, it's just so that you could have a reaction. They want your reaction because it fuels them. They love to know that they have the ability to control your emotions. But always remember, what they give that new supply, it's not out of love for them, because it's always what you wanted from them. They give the new supply what they wouldn't give you to get a reaction out of you, which means that they haven't moved on from you. They're still thinking about you in that relationship. When you move on with someone, you're not going to do the things that the other person asked you for that you didn't do. You're going to do the things that that new person wants from you, because you've moved on from your ex. Narcissists don't move on from their ex. They are still thinking about you when they're with the new supply. That's why they're doing everything that you wanted with them. And that's how you already know it's a toxic relationship, because he or she is not even thinking about their new wife or husband while they're with them. They're thinking about you. They're thinking about how to get back at you, how to make you jealous, how to make you come running back, how to make you chase them, how to make you accept their hoovers. It's all about you. So why are you crying over the new supply? Why are you upset over the new supply? You shouldn't be upset. These are people who are already in a doomed relationship. الخبيثات للخبيثين والخبيثون للخبيثات. They end up with their own kind. They end up getting played by their own kind. It is so toxic. It is the most toxic relationship you could ever be in, where you have two narcissists together. When they're two coverts as well, it's not as bad as it being two overts, because when you're two overts, you're both coming in as two arrogant people. So you can imagine the fights and the screaming and everything horrible that happens with that. When you're covert, you play sneaky games with each other all the time. It can get nasty, but not as nasty as two overts. Okay? It's just constant manipulation that's sneaky and crippling. And like I said, two covert narcs together can destroy each other. They can be the downfall and destruction of each other. Because in these relationships, there's always one narcissist who is more powerful than the other. They're not equal. One of them would have manipulated the other. So there is still a power play here, where there's one narcissist who is more dominant, one covert narc who is more dominant than the other covert narc. So at least one of them will get destroyed in the process. When does the other one get destroyed? After the discard. When the narcissist who was played gets their revenge on the other narcissist. These people always take revenge on each other. Oh, they never let it go. They will destroy each other completely in revenge. Look at what happened to the case of Dunya Shaib. They're completely destroying each other, ripping each other to shreds online. Like, she's destroyed him and he's destroyed her. Her husband, I'm talking about her husband, the one who came out making all these YouTube videos. It's never good when you're in a relationship with these people, even if you're a narcissist. When you get with another narcissist, this is what happens. Your end is crippling, humiliating. It will completely destroy you. Because a narcissist will never let it go that another narcissist played him or played her and got away with it. Oh God, no, you don't get to play me. I will show you what I'm going to do to you. And that's what happens. They plot and plan so many different things, whether it's in court, they fabricate stories, fabricate lies to ruin your reputation. They will create false accusations. They will manipulate situations and manipulate people to side with them, all for the sake of getting their revenge on that person who played them, because they did not realize they got played by another narcissist. It's the most humiliating thing for a narcissist. It's the most humiliating thing that they get played by their own kind, because they expect loyalty from their own kind. So when they get assets taken from them, like their wealth or, business connections, whatever it is that the other narcissist wanted from them. And they realize that I've wasted all my energy on another narcissist when I should have put this energy into an empath or a codependent. Now my qareen is attacking me because I've just ended up with another narcissist. It's a failed mission. They get angry. They get so angry that they lash out at the narcissist and completely destroy them. That's why you see it on social media. They just lash out and destroy and kill each other. They will literally destroy each other. And that's why some people actually get murdered. They will get murdered because of how humiliated they are at being played. Narcissists do not like being played. You've got to be really careful, because when they're at psychopath level, they can murder. Look what happened to that poor sister in, I think it was Australia, the Lebanese sister in Australia who got killed by her ex-husband. You've got to be careful. You've got to be really careful out there. It's not safe to be around people who have that anger and vengeance in them. That's why I've made this channel, to wake everyone up, because it's really dangerous being with these people. You're better off avoiding these people than trying to play a game with these people. So they will destroy each other, and they'll forget themselves as well. They'll forget how they look to the world. They'll forget how toxic they look to the world by doing these things, right? So, for example, Dunya Shaib's husband came out, trying to appear as the victim when he's the one launching a massive smear campaign. And that's narcissistic behavior from A to Z. People who launch any public smear campaign like that, especially against a woman, is a narcissist from head to toe. Did not believe his victim's story one little bit. But a lot of people fall for it because they don't understand. They don't understand what toxic behavior actually is. So when you're in a relationship with a narcissist and one of them overpowers the other, it always ends in a very ugly way as well. The same way it ends with overt narcissists who realize that they've been used. No narcissist likes to know or realize that they've been used, because they don't like a taste of their own poison. They do it to people. They love using other people. But when people do to them what they do to others, it causes a massive narc injury. They go into a rage and they can't handle it. And so these relationships in which two narcissists are in a marriage are highly toxic. Their kids always come out messed up. Always. Their children are always in therapy as adults because of how horrible it is in that household. Even if you don't see it on the outside, it is horrible on the inside. They cannot take the humiliation. They cannot take the shame of being tortured by their qareen. Their qareen tortures them for a failed mission. They tell them over and over again, "You stupid son of Iblis. Why did you waste your time working on another narcissist when that person's already corrupt? You wasted your time. I needed you to get with an empath. I needed you to get with a codependent. Why are you wasting your time on this? She's already corrupted. He's already corrupted." And then they beat themselves up because they believe that narcissist was an empath. They believe that narcissist was a codependent. So now they're being tortured by their qareen for a failed mission. They don't sleep. They're angry. And at the same time, that person has given them trust issues. So now when they come across an empath or a codependent, they don't actually believe it anymore. That's why narcissists have trust issues. Covert narcs have massive trust issues. They want to see if you're really empath or not, because they can't go through that again. They can't go through the qareen torturing them again mentally over being so stupid over a failed mission and wasting their time. And they can't go through the humiliation and the narc injury. So you'll find that narcissists have massive trust issues because they've been burnt by other narcissists in their past. So they'll test you, they'll put you to the test to make sure that you are going to be an empath or a codependent that they can actually destroy this time. They can actually fulfill their mission with this time. And that's why they come back to hoover you. When they realize that you were the true empath, you were the true codependent, and that there were the narcissists who played them, they will come back before you know it. They'll come back because they need another chance to fulfill a mission with a codependent or empath. That's why every time you let them back in, it gets worse with them. The abuse gets worse. The trauma bond gets worse. The disrespect gets worse. Because they're on a mission to destroy you spiritually, emotionally, and physically as well. Everyone gets so many health problems being with narcissists. Autoimmune diseases that are unexplainable are always popping up in people's health diagnosis. Doctors are like, I don't know where you got this autoimmune disease. I don't know where you got all these symptoms, but I'm just going to put it down to a sudden bout of symptoms that indicate you got autoimmune disease. They don't know where it comes from. It comes from this spiritual disorder because you keep letting the narcissist back in. Autoimmune diseases come from narcissistic abuse. Again, I'm going to do another podcast about the health issues, the physical health issues that you can get by being with a narcissist and taking them back. When they come running back to hoover you, it's because they need to complete their mission because they realize they got played by someone who wasted their time. Don't let these people back in. For the love of God, don't let them back in. Because that is what they're going to do. They're back to destroy you. I promise you, they're back to destroy you. They will future fake, they will beg, they will cry because they know it works, or they're hoping that it will work for them to ease the torture that the qareen is putting them through at night. That's why they have sleep problems. Narcissists all have sleep problems. Because the qareen is mentally reminding them of all their failed missions. And that's why they hoover people, left, right and centre. Okay, that's what happens when two narcissists come together and Allah allows them to give them a taste of their own poison. Allah allows them to taste it, what they do to other people, out of hope that they will wake up and change their ways when they realize that, wow, this is what I'm doing to other people. This is how I make other people feel when I deceive them, lie to them, manipulate them, future fake them, gaslight them. This is how it feels. I don't like it. I don't like how this feels. I don't like being under narcissistic abuse by another narcissist. I don't like it. Allah does it out of mercy for them, that they wake up to what they're doing to other people, but many of them don't. Many of them don't. They just go back, look for another empath because their soldiers of Iblis tell them that they need to go back and fulfill that mission. And they are following the soldiers of Iblis. They are following the instructions and the demands and the commands of the soldiers of Iblis, who are their qareens. These are people who worship their egos. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, أَرَأَيْتَ الَّذِي مَنِ اتَّخَذَ إِلَهَهُ هَوَاهُ. Have you seen those people who take their egos as their gods? You can't help these people. When someone takes their ego, their qareen, their nafs, al-ammara bis-su' as their god, you can't help these people. It's jihad al-nafs, it's their own jihad al-nafs. It's very important for you to understand this. Allah gives them so many chances, even when they're with their own kind, to wake up, and they don't want to wake up. Now, when it comes to the back burner supply, it's a different story altogether. So you will find that the majority of people in the back burner supply closet are narcissists. And if they're not narcissists, then they are highly codependent, toxic people. Okay, so you do get lots of codependents who are very toxic as well because they are borderline narcissistic. Those are the people you find in their collection. Now, you will find the odd empathic person here and there, not true empaths, but codependents who have a high level of empathy and who are still trauma bonded to a narc ex. They go in that category as well because they tend to be hoovered and they fall for the hoover and they go back to the narcissist only to repeat the same cycle and worse every single time. So the narcissists who are in this collection are covert, okay? And the narcissist is aware of their toxicity. the covert narc knows that the back burner supplies whom he has or she has are somewhat unhinged. They are not mentally okay, and they are toxic on various levels, and that's the reason why they're not with them. This is the reason why these people are not elevated to grade A supply or the primary source of supply. They are back burner supplies who are needed temporarily in an emergency. And when is it an emergency for a narcissist? When you leave them when they least expect it. So when you walk away from a narcissist, when you end the relationship, when you leave, when they never believed that you could, that is when they turn to the back burner supply, because they haven't had the time to find a new grade A source of supply. And it takes a lot of time for them to find this. And it takes a lot of effort to find new source of supply, because remember what I told you, they don't trust people easily, especially if they've been burnt before. It takes them a long time to vet potential victims to ensure that they are not falling for the scam of another narcissist again. And that's why a lot of them believe that when they are with their victim, that they are being scammed by another narcissist. That's why when you are so empathic naturally, they think that your game is on another level. They think that you are scamming them because you know how to play the game better. You know how to emulate empathy better than they do. And for long periods of time, they find you fascinating. That you can actually fake empathy for such a long time, but they don't know that it's real. They think that you're so advanced in your narcissism that you can fake it for that long. And that's why they're always on their guard. That's why they don't invest in relationships. Because when they've been burnt before by another narcissist and they come across an empath, they think that you're playing them too. So they play the same game until they realize that actually this person might be a real empath, because no narcissist can last this long faking empathy. They can't. The mask will slip. But they saw that with the empath, there's no mask that slipped. And that's when they start to feel, okay, I'm with an empath, and then they become in awe of you. They become in awe that they've actually landed themselves an empath and that these people actually exist. You know, good people actually exist in the world. So when you leave them unexpectedly and they have no new source of supply in place, they will rummage through their back burner supply collection, knowing that the majority of people in there are toxic, are narcissistic, are manipulative, but it will do for now, right? It will do for now. So what happens in these relationships? So let's say the narcissist rummages around and finds that the only person available for them at the time who was willing to get into a relationship with them or a rebound with them, and the only person who actually answered their Hoover happens to be a covert narcissistic woman. And this covert narcissistic woman, more often than not, is someone whom you may have come across when you were in a relationship with the narcissist. So do go back to the previous podcast about the back burner supply and the new supply to understand what I'm talking about here. But she is normally somebody who has had her eye on your narcissist for a long time, or she has, been in the picture. She's been in the picture. So when he hoovers her after your relationship ends with him, she's more than likely to jump into a relationship with him. But she doesn't know that he knows that she's toxic. She believes in her mind that he has chosen her because she's better than you. And again, this can happen to men as well. So when a woman rummages around in her back burner supply, she will basically jump into a relationship with the person who answers her hoovers quickly. Okay? So when this guy answers her hoovers, all of a sudden you'll find that within the next couple of weeks, your narc ex is with the back burner supply, the person you never liked, that friend you never trusted, your neighbour or whoever. It's just someone who's always been there in the background. So these relationships are always toxic, and the reason why is because the narcissist hasn't gotten over you when they jump into a relationship with these people. So behind closed doors, they are comparing this person to you. They are blaming this person because they lost you because of them. So for example, if there was a woman obsessing over him and you had trust issues with your narcissist ex because of this woman, he's going to blame her for the breakdown of your relationship. He's going to devalue her. Okay? And the reason why he or she devalues that person is because they already know that they like the narcissist. They don't have to work hard to love bomb or gain the affections of the back burner supply. They know the back burner supply hovers around in the background because they already like the narcissist. So you won't find that they are being love bombed heavily because the narcissist knows it's going to be a waste of time. The narcissist knows that this person is only a pit stop. And when the person is only a pit stop, they don't bother investing. Like, you won't really see the love bombing with this person. You'll see it with the new supply, but rarely with the old source of supply. The only time you will see the love bombing with the old source of supply is when the narcissist is so hurt, they know that by getting with this person, it's going to really damage you emotionally. So they make a show of it out of revenge. When the narcissist knows that you know that this back burner supply is toxic, nothing, no one to be jealous of, no one to be envious of, you won't see the love bombing. They won't plaster it all over their social media. They're actually quite embarrassed that they have to resort to that person so that they can't be alone for 5 minutes. They're embarrassed. You won't see anything on their social media. They won't post anything for a long time. You won't know what's going on. They keep that supply hidden. They keep whatever's happening with that back burner supply hidden. Because they know that you know that that back burner supply is as toxic as they are. You don't care. But when you don't know much about the back burner supply, or the back burner supply is someone who will really hurt you by being with your narc ex, that's when they rub it in your face, okay? Either way, this person is only a pit stop because the narcissist does not trust this person anyway. They do not trust this person. So for example, let's say that the back burner supply is your best friend. Okay, you hear it often, you know, your narc ex runs off with your best friend behind your back or whatever. If that happens, the narcissist already doesn't trust that person, because if they can do that to their best friend, then they can do it to the narcissist as well. So narcissists will only use people to fulfill a purpose, to get revenge, and to fill a void, a temporary void, until they find their new source of supply. The back burner supply rarely stays on as the long-term source of supply, and if he or she does, it means that the narcissist had failed to find an appropriate new source of supply. So if they're with the back burner supply for a long time, that's the reason. It's because they haven't found a replacement yet. They only keep the back burner supply because, again, it's just an emergency option. They don't value those people enough to elevate them to primary source of supply out of their own free will. They do it when they have no other choice. Okay? So again, all you people who are jealous of the narcissist running off with their back burner supply, what are you jealous of? You have left them with no other choice but to have that person. They can't get better. They haven't found better. They go back to what they don't want and that they wouldn't have had you not left. And they are mad that they have had to downgrade to their level because you decided that you wanted to love yourself and be rid of such a toxic person in your life. They hate that they have to now downgrade to their level. الخبيثات للخبيثين والخبيثون للخبيثات. I'll repeat it 100 times. Allah forces them to go back to their own kind, whether it's a new source of supply or it's a back burner source of supply. It's very rare that they move on to another empath. And if they move on to another empath, it's like I said, you know, sometimes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala really wants that person to wake up. But I've never seen it. I've never seen a narcissist get a true empath twice in a row, or even twice in their life. It's usually a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. So if you think or believe that the narcissist has moved on to another empath, then it's usually someone who is able to mirror the behavior of an empath, someone who's pretending to be empathic. Because, like I said, I've never seen it in my life where a narcissist has had more than one empath in their life. Loads of codependents, yes. Lots of toxic narcs, yes. Empaths, true empaths, no, just the one. Ask any narcissist in your life, and they will remember that one person who got sent to their life by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help them, and they lost that opportunity to become a better person by being with that empath. They will only ever remember one person. Honestly, I believe that the empath is only sent once to the life of a narcissist, never twice. If they didn't appreciate it the first time, Allah will not send it the second time. Because it's a valuable gift that if they don't appreciate it, khalas, it's a lost opportunity. Now they have to learn the hard way. Now they have to learn how to heal themselves without the help of another empath. And that's harder. That's much harder. So that's their harsh lesson in life that they have to learn when they let an empath go and they do not grab onto the opportunity to allow that person to help them change. Because there are some narcissists who are inspired by the empath and they do change by being with an empath. But again, it's very rare. It's very, very rare. I've seen people try and get halfway there and then slip back into their old ways. I've seen people get there and then when they lose the empath to death or whatever, they fall back into their old ways. So, it's not always the case that a narcissist will change by being with an empath, but it's a lifeline. It's a lifeline to help them. Again, it's a stepping stone to help them in the right direction when they're with the right person who can support them into being an empathic and better person and better Muslim. So when the narcissist is with the back burner supply, who is also another narcissist, if he's love bombing her in the beginning, that will soon quickly fade if you do not entertain the triangulation. So when you remove yourself from the triangulation and they know that you're not watching this circus freak show of what they're doing to make you upset and jealous, then their relationship fizzles out very quickly because he's not or she's not getting the reaction from you to make that relationship last. The only person who is allowing that relationship to last is you, because you are giving it your attention. When you take your attention away, that back burner supply no longer becomes, important or significant to the narcissist. They immediately start looking for their new source of supply. So the narcissist they're with may really like them, may really, be trying hard to gain the affection and the love of the narcissist, but the narcissist doesn't want to be with this person. They're only with this person to get back at you. Not because they want to be. Again, like I told you, if they wanted to be with this person, they would have been with that person before you. But they don't. And so the relationship will last as long as you give it attention. Take your attention away, and within a short amount of time, you will realize or hear from someone or see that those two are no longer together. Okay? Because when they get together, it all becomes about you. The narcissist doesn't stop talking about you, doesn't stop comparing them to you, is always angry that you slipped away, escaped, always irritated, always, sleeping problems, trust issues, everything you can imagine that the narcissist could be feeling after the loss of an empath or a codependent gets projected onto this back burner supply. They have no respect for the back burner supply. They have no respect for anyone who is willing to sit in that murky swamp of back burner supplies. They have no respect for anyone who's willing to stay there. So when they find you there and they manage to hoover you back, they already know you've got low self-esteem. They already know you have low self-worth because you are willing to be a backup for a narcissist who didn't choose you in the first place. So when they come and hoover you, they already don't value you. They already think, oh, this person's desperate. This person has no appeal to them whatsoever because they didn't have to work hard to get you. They didn't have to hunt for you. They didn't have to do any work. They clicked their fingers, they hoovered you, you were there in 5 minutes. All excited to hear from the narcissist because, while they were with the other source of supply, you were jealous and you wanted your chance with them. That's how they see the back burner supply. They don't make any effort. All that love bombing that you see mainly comes from the person they hoovered, because the person they hoovered is actually happy now that they're with the narcissist, thinking that they've won some sort of prize. They have no idea what's coming for them. So when the back burner supply believes that they've won the narcissist or they've won a prize, it's the back burner supply who love bombs the narc, and that's what you see in social media. That's when you see the back burner supply all over your ex, gifting your ex, doing wonderful things for your ex, and then people get jealous and they're like, oh God, she's doing for him, or he's doing for her what I wanted to do. And then it gets to your head, and then that's how you fall into the trap of falling for this entire freak show. Okay, so when she or he is with the narcissist, when the back burner supply is in this situation, they are so miserable because they know that the narcissist the whole time is not over you because of what they're saying about you. They're either talking about you negatively all the time, or they're comparing the back burner supply to you. So for example, let's say they get into a fight and the back burner supply swears at him, and he says, oh, my ex never swore at me. He will say things like that, or she'll say things like that. Oh, my ex never did that to me, or my ex treated me better than you did. They want the back burner supply to up their game and give them more fuel. And then that's when they realise that actually this narcissist isn't about Jack, right? They realise now that the narcissist is the one who is the problem, and you are the one who got away. Now the back burner supply looks at you differently, and she's thinking, or he's thinking, wow, they weren't the problem. He or she was the problem. And then either they end it with the narcissist very quickly because they don't want to deal with this moody, miserable person who's been discarded. This narcissist is still licking their wounds, and they realise now that they're being used as a pit stop because the narcissist is always miserable. They've just come out of a relationship with you, they've been discarded, or you've walked away from them, and they're licking their wounds during their entire time with this rebound supply. And the rebound supply is getting frustrated. They're getting really frustrated that they cannot make the narcissist forget about you. They cannot do enough to make this narcissist put them on a pedestal instead of you. And so either the back burner supply will get fed up eventually, or the narcissist will find another new source of supply and ditch the back burner supply. And then it will be a double hurt for the back burner supply. And you'll find all over the back burner supplies, social media, oh, men are rubbish. Oh, women are cheaters. Oh, women this. Oh, women that. Because the narcissist would have been caught out looking for a new source of supply while with them. And if that doesn't happen, then the narcissist will just get so bored of being with the back burner supply who is jumping through hoops to be better than you, be better than the ex, that he just loses all respect. And when a narcissist loses respect for you, here comes the verbal abuse and the emotional abuse and the physical abuse, spiritual abuse. It all comes tumbling down when the narcissist loses all respect for you. So that relationship is inevitably going to end anyway with the back burner supply. And like I said, if it lasts longer than you expected it to last, it's because they haven't found a new source of supply. They believe that they're settling. The narcissist always believes that they settle for the back burner supply. And that's why a narcissist never truly discards anybody. They leave you, but shelf you, because they always want to come back when they need you, or they need your particular source of supply that you can offer. But when you force them to go back to a back burner supply, and the only one who is responding to a hoover, or the only one who is single at the time, maybe the other source of supply are married or, with other people, the only person who responds is the person, oh God, did it have to just be her who responds? I wish it was another back burner supply who responded, but fine, this will do. This will do. And it's embarrassing because he'll look at this supply and be like, oh, I cannot let my ex know that I'm with this person because she will laugh at me. She will laugh at me if she finds out that this is my new partner. So they keep it hidden. So if you haven't heard from the narcissist, you don't know what they're doing, they've gone off grid, they've fallen off the planet, it's because the only back burner supply who responded is the one you would laugh at him or her for being with. And that's why they don't ever want you to find out. And if you do ever find out, it's crushing for the narcissist. Because it's like, oh, that's the best you could get, is it? That back burner supply, because the others weren't responding. Okay? So it's just all very toxic. They fight like cat and dog. They're always having problems. They're always moody. They're never happy. So the next time you look at your ex, or you remember your ex moving on with a back burner supply, know that this is what's going on between them in their relationship. I'm telling you, before you know it, they've split up. Before you know it, they've split up. And if they haven't split up, there's another reason for it. The back burner supply could be heavily codependent. And if she's heavily or he's heavily codependent, then they are tolerant of abuse. Okay? Codependents who are highly tolerant of abuse are the ones who stay with narcissists the longest. So he's either, or she's either not found a new source of supply to be with, or the back burner supply or the new supply is a high level codependent who has a high tolerance level for abuse. And that's the only reason why it's lasted longer than you thought it would. Either way, it's nothing to envy, nothing to be jealous of, nothing to be upset about. That person, that codependent, that narcissist has a lesson to learn with your ex. And your narcissist ex has a lesson to learn as well. So you've got to leave it behind. This is what happens. Like, it's never a happy marriage, even if it looks like it on the outside. They made it look happy with you when they were with you. So they've got no choice but to try and make it work when they've got no other options. So that's basically what happens with overts and coverts, religious and non-religious. And, you can also put this in the context of a man being polygamous. I think I would need to do a separate podcast on the narcissistic abuse that happens when a man has more than one wife and he's a narcissist. So inshallah, I will dedicate another podcast for that, because that in itself is another subject because of all the religious rulings surrounding it. So I hope inshallah that's clarified everything for you. I hope it's given you closure. I hope it's made sense. And again, do drop your comments below. Do let me know what you think. Do let me know if you've got any questions. If anyone needs any one-to-one counselling and coaching, just drop me an email. So author@themuslimnarcissist.com. I'm happy to help you through whatever it is that you're going through, inshallah. Just drop me an email with your case and I'll get back to you. And please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Do send this podcast to whoever could benefit from this information. And thank you so much for all your support. Let's help grow this channel. I appreciate everyone's comments. I read them all. And I pray that inshallah it gives you the information that you need to help improve your lives, inshallah, and yourselves as people. So thank you for listening if you're still with me. And until the next podcast, inshallah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.